She beat a record. Now she got 38 one day.
Oh yeah, I tell you, it's not fishing back there; it's catching.
Can you believe it? Yeah, exactly. It's catching.
What are you catching?
All right, it's 7:05. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, June 3rd. The first item is Pledge of Allegiance, so let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item is roll call. Amy?
Ms. Dobson? Here. Mr. Dutzman?
Here.
Mr. Earhart?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Arvalo?
Here.
Ms. Palm? Mr. Sly?
Here.
Ms. Squire?
Here.
Mr. Welsh?
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of the agenda as it stands. Are there any changes to it? No changes, so we just need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Could we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as it stands? Start the voting on the left. Adolfo?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, let's see, how many? 8-0. Make sure I count right. Next item is a citizen participation. Do we have anybody signed up this week? No? Okay. Nobody signed up, so we'll go ahead and jump into the formal action. The approval of the minutes from our May 6th meeting. Does anybody have any issues or changes to that? If not, then we just.
I move we approve the May 6th of 21 minutes.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been seconded to approve the minutes from our May 6th meeting. Start the voting on the left.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0. The second formal action is a site plan application, SP 24-2021, Woodland Crossing Pool, Cabana. Mr. Burton, you have the floor.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for everyone spending the evening with us. It's a lot shorter than it has been, and quite a bit. So this is, as Chairman said, Site Plan 24-2021. It's Pool and Cabana for Woodland crossings. They're at 200th and Woodland Road, 200th Street. It's off of Woodland, 199th basically. It's the development there. It was shown in the preliminary plat as a track B. They, at the time of the preliminary plat, they did not have the site plan ready, but it was proposed to go there as you come into the subdivision right there. So it does conform, it is compliant with what they had submitted the preliminary plat. The landscaping as well as elevations are included in there. All the lot lines, easements, and right-of-ways are identified. As I said, what the use is identified. There's 14 stalls. The code actually just calls for, I believe, 4. Yes, 4 and 1. And there's 14 and 1 being the handicapped or ADA. The materials are shown. Stormwater was already in the plan with the first phase. Landscaping, as I had mentioned before, the lighting, they really didn't show any lighting per se on it yet, although there is a street light that I noted at the entrance. It would be on the east side. You can see it right there on the drawing. On the east side, or be on your right side of that entrance. So I would imagine they'll utilize that street light for some of it. Fencing, and then they show a proposed playground area as well. It does conform with the overall plan. I think the ending comments would be that the exterior lighting will be reviewed like we usually do on a small site plan like this at the building permit stage. The pool obviously will have to be inspected by and approved by Johnson County Health Department before we would allow it to open. And there are still a few comments out from, like Evergy hasn't given their comments yet on it, so we work through that through the building permit stage. Planning Commission review and action would be recommend approval to the governing body, deny approval to the governing body and tell the applicant or table it and notify the applicant of such action and the date and time it would be tabled to, and the staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see, and I didn't read, are there going to be turn lanes from Woodland?
Yes, as you can see on the
Okay.
upper, they're actually not great big long turn lanes. You can see they have a divided entrance and exit there,
Right.
and that is okay right now for the use or the traffic impact study. So they did divide it off, so it shouldn't congest as much right there. And this actually comes off of what I'm gonna call the ramp that comes from 199th down to Woodland. So, as you can see the curvature right there on the plan, that's where it comes into on that.
Okay, I see.
It's no problem.
I had it in a different place.
Yes.
I see it now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a storm line that runs on the south side there, and it discharges at the bottom of the page into a 10-foot utility easement. That's discharging still within the platted area. It's not
Yes.
discharging off-site, is it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, it'll be worked through all the phases and continued on until it discharges off-site, controlled discharge, obviously. But yes, and then we have the second phase already in works, and was discussion today of third phase already coming into play, so.
Did you say there's a the lighting will be discussed at the building permit stage. Oh, and there is a light in the plan, or a street light, right?
Yeah, if you look at up there on the right-hand side of the entrance coming into the parking, right there that, there's a street light sits right there. It's an existing planned street light, so that's good. It will utilize for their entrance, which I always say, yes, we designed it that way, but I had no idea until I looked at it. But, so that's good use. And then they will have some lighting, obviously, on the building for pool protection and all. And like all of them, this size, we don't make them go to the expense of the photometric and all. We just make sure that it's not blinding to the vehicles and things like that.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
And I think there's some new regulations with the county right now on a warning detection device for chlorination. So there's probably a strobe that's gonna have to go on there or something.
All right, thank you. Are there any other
Well-
questions?
Now, in this section of the development, this is where a trail will go along the,
But yes, along the curvature, yes. And we talked about that in the second phase that was approved and all. And I don't know, have we designed that yet, Doug?
Second phase?
No, the trail that we talked about going up along, coming from 199th to Woodland.
I don't believe so.
Okay, it's in our comments on that, so they'll have to get that before we'll do building permits in the second phase. We did not put it in the first phase, if you remember, we talked about it, and I didn't get it in the comments, and in the second phase, we did get it in the comments, so.
You're talking about a sidewalk or or a?
Oh, well, I mean, they have,
I
it's a
think-
sidewalk for sure.
I think when we first talked, we talked about sidewalk along 199 that would connect to
Brookwood Farms, that's correct.
sidewalk. But then going down along the curve, it wasn't a sidewalk, it was a trail.
Right, well, we were giving them the option to either put an enlarged concrete sidewalk or a walking trail, so. Because in that area, like connecting on to Brookwood Farms is putting in concrete. They actually started, I don't know if any of you saw it, but it did get started, and I think they poured some of it today. But in the connection, coming down through there, we didn't specify whether they had to use concrete or asphalt, but it is widened. 6 foot, 5 foot, minimum 6 foot's what we asked for. And it ties into Brookwood Farms and keep tying in. I was out today, they started the Roundabout and checking to see how the sidewalk stuff would lay out through there and all, so. And this whole trail system here will be important. I don't know, maybe in a couple, 3 months or by the end of the year anyway, we'll have another plat, well, it should have 2 more that'll be tying that whole area in. And I don't, probably not aware of it, but 207th in Ridgeview, the northeast corner, the city actually owns a large tract of ground through there that was for a park, a trail. It's where the sewer lines run up to the school and all in through that area. And Brookwood Farms runs up through there. And I think there's 12 acres there. And we're doing some preliminary work with a developer today on that. And I think we've got some stuff ironed out where they'll put the most part of the trail system in. So I know I'm getting off track, but, so the whole area there, we want to keep pushing for the trails and get it all tied together is my main thing. And it would connect into Brookwood Farms into right there at their pond area. They ought to be happy about that. A lot of people fishing.
Yep. Any other questions? These are all good questions.
I move to recommend approval of site plan SP 000024-2021 as presented by staff.
Okay, we have a second. We have a motion that's been seconded to approve the site plan application SP 000024-2021 Woodland Crossing Pool and Cabana as presented by staff. Start the voting on the left.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 8-0. All right, the next item on our formal agenda is the final plat application 25-2021 Brookwood Farm 7th plat. Mr. Burton, you have the floor. Now, it's my understanding there was a new, is this where they sent out or comments from the engineer, is that right?
Right, so.
For the, I'm trying to remember.
That's not too bad. So when, oh, yeah, I guess we could zoom in some on it there.
It includes the cul-de-sac and the common.
Right, so if you remember in the last plat that we presented for Brookwood Farms, to the east of this, across the pond there, Planning Commission was gracious enough to allow a cul-de-sac to be placed there due to the structure that would need to be constructed for the water drainage there. And in looking at that, we looked at it and that's part of it. The park ground that I was talking about earlier would tie into that. So it all would work very well for that whole area. So the one on the right or the left here is the one that was presented to us, the one that the report was written on. And then yesterday, we received this, and apparently city engineering had been reviewing this, and we had not seen it. So, I told them, I'll present both of them. If they do not, now, the one on the left that is in your packet conforms to the preliminary plat to a T. The one on the right, obviously, it cul-de-sacs, and I told them, one cul-de-sac and planning commission and council worked with it. Two, they would have to do a new preliminary plat. I guess, sometimes no good deed goes unpunished in some of this stuff. So we just told them today that I'll bring both of them. If the planning commission is willing to go along with the cul-de-sac one, we can go ahead and say, yeah, we like that, but they are gonna have to do a preliminary plat. Because there's just too many road right-of-way changes. The preliminary plats are, you think about city staff using them for overall planning and design and everything, but a lot of developers use them. They'll have them, they'll pull them up from a lot of like Phelps Engineering, they keep all of the information that we work with here in file because they do so much work here. So overall, I'll run through the staff report if that's okay, and then we can discuss this. So it's plat 25-2021. It's part of Brookwood Farms. It's the 7th plat. It's 10.5 acres, 31 residential lots. Now, I have not recounted, if they gained lots or lost lots on the cul-de-sac one, so I apologize. The one that is in your packet is exactly to the preliminary plat. They are, like I said, 31 lots. They're installing the sidewalk along 199th now. Our engineer is working on, and the plan has been approved for the profiles of the streets and all. I think all the plans are approved. Drainage, the homeowners association, on either one of them, there are tracks there next to the pond. The homeowners association would be responsible for those. There were no negative comments. The improvement agreement it's prepared. We just have not sent it in because now with the changes, it had changed the excise tax. The other one is that usually Brookwood Farms does not participate in the park open to the general public, so they are subject to $300 per lot park impact fee. In this, it would be recommended to the governing body deny and notify the applicant, or table and notify the applicant of the date. And staff put to recommend approval, but we would like to, if you want to look at this, we'd like this all to be tabled, and then they can bring a new preliminary plat in along with it. But first want to discuss it and see what your thoughts are on it.
I mean, I think I like the cul-de-sac, and I don't, if the applicant doesn't have an issue waiting for us to to table it, I mean,
He doesn't have any choice.
yeah.
I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, we really need to keep our preliminary plats as close as we can. Because where do you stop it? You know, you guys were very, and in my email to him, and I did not get a response, give me a reason why. Give me a good reason. You know, the other was, it was a $700,000 structure that had to go across that drainage. It makes good sense. And the property owner, now I do know the property owner to the south would prefer only one entrance in there. You start putting multiple entrances in there like we had 3, well, he might have a whole different idea on what he wants to do there. And then on this as well, we're studying now that we really need a connecting link from Woodland to Ridgeview, right through this area somewhere. And this would be quarter section lines. Well, that'd be a half section line running east-west. So that only makes sense to put a collector through there. But, we can turn it a little bit to the south and a little bit back up along here. So overall, I'm finally taking the time and reviewing and saying, we're going to need a connector link with everybody that's starting to talk to us. And we have been in discussions with 2 different developers on the property to the south of this. So with that in mind, and the connector link running through there, it'd probably be better just to have one connection. And one of the developers, they develop here in town now, they're one of the larger developers, and they were gonna ask to, if they purchase the property, to eliminate one of those. I did not contact them because, we're working with these folks, so. So the question is, how does the planning commission feel about it, and which direction would you like me to proceed?
Well, the other concern that I have, if you look at the schematic on the left, one of the streets is incorrect.
Incorrect for what?
It's the wrong street number.
Name, you mean?
Yeah, it's 201st Street
Oh, it could be.
on this.
Yeah, it could be. We'll do some adjustment.
Yeah.
But now, it may not be,
Because 201st Street is 2 streets up.
right, does it say just plain
I
201st?
live there, I know what 201st Street is.
Okay, so what we probably anticipate there is whatever this,
One that connects to all the ends.
yes, and it would go, right, yes. It would be
See, on this one-
it would be the
On
name.
this one, on the one on the right, He's corrected.
Okay.
202.
Right. And it would not be that probably. It's probably gonna be that Ole, whatever the name of it is.
Okay.
Because the county will come back and say, no, that's not a, we wanna make a continuation of that. Is it 7 houses? Anyway, they have a formula for that.
I have a question and it comes up every time, so you put in the cul-de-sac, which I understand the reasoning. I get the reasoning. But you put in the cul-de-sac and you have an emergency up at the dog leg. What do we do about the rest of the residents down the way?
I mean, you're gonna run across that everywhere. And the fire department, now is, with the changes that are occurring, are doing really well. Reviews, and there was no comment on it.
I just know, I mean, we've lived that experience, you know, you're done, you can't go anywhere for an, you know, either a short period or an exhausting number of hours, and before we were at Brookwood Farms, we were having them put in those running ramps, but I don't think that's gonna work
Yeah,
or something like that,
with
so.
the equipment, it doesn't matter anyway, the equipment.
I know
that
times
they-
have changed, but I'm just
yeah.
asking.
But I'm just saying, the equipment that they have nowadays, I mean, that's, I mean, if they, we would look at, and in this case here, I have no idea, I mean, you know, most, I don't know, you know.
I just,
It-
I just
nobody's-
don't want us to get into a situation, this is only one.
Well,
I've seen plats come through where we've had 2 or 3
right,
cul-de-sacs
but-
that were
sure.
affected by that.
Sure, but you have to also realize that, this is what people want,
Oh,
you know, and you know that, because that's where you live.
I
And,
raised the kids on the cul-de-sac.
right,
I totally
so,
understand.
and all these connecting links and everything for, Public Works despises cul-de-sacs just because snow removal. Now, this one's not too bad
can
because
tell you
they
that
have
too.
some, yeah, because they have some place to put it.
Yeah.
And if you look at this, this is the new design that was suggested by the fire department. So they really have reviewed these well. So, yeah, I don't know. I looked at one today that I was just like, oh my, this is gonna be a fun one. I think
I'm
I
always
think
gonna
it
come
has
back to that safety
13
side.
cul-de-sacs in it.
Yeah, see, I'm just always gonna come back to that safety side, whether it's tornadoes or streets or sidewalks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't want us to get to a point
I've
where we're just
been-
rubber stamping stuff.
yeah, I've been through all of the above, and, you know, like I worked Joplin, it didn't matter. Tornado comes through, it, you know, you just drive.
I understand, but
That's-
Joplin was on the ground for an immense amount of time.
Well, even if you have any kind of damage there and all, I mean, the equipment nowadays, they just go, you know, but I do understand your concerns and all, but, but that's why I bring it to you guys, you know, it's your call, so.
I understand the reasoning behind it. My other question is, are we okay on fencing on a couple of these corner houses? Or, I don't remember remember how we got into fencing issues when?
Yeah,
the
right, sight distance, and they just have to live with it. We ran across one the other day, and they were a little upset, but, you know, your sight distance is your sight distance, and the same formula is used in every city, so.
Just, there was one of them, I wondered if they turned the house, if it would be better, but it's not us to design it, I'm just.
Well, now, I will tell you that the county, has been doing a real good job, or the emergency management, of, double addressing, so that we
We
have.
could decide what way to go.
And
Okay.
then also I worked with one in the old part here where the house was off of 221st or something, and the garage was a side entry, so.
Okay,
that
that's
worked
good, I
out
didn't know
good.
that they were doing that. Okay,
Right.
that's good.
So,
Those were my 2 questions.
Sure. that was good,
I just
that's why we bring it and look at it, and, you know, we have to get what you guys, feel.
Let's see, what is, Josh, what do you think?
I have no comments.
Well, Then let's throw, that we table plat 25-2021 for July.
Sure.
Second.
Okay, we have motion's been seconded to table the final plat application 2021 Brookwood Farm 7th plat until the next planning commission meeting in July. Start the voting on the left.
Could I ask a question? Before I vote? What's the purpose of,
They have to do a preliminary plat.
So the tabling,
do this?
Yeah,
Okay.
right, so
sorry.
real quick,
Should've
I didn't mean to interrupt your vote, but real quick, it's staff's understanding that the cul-de-sac will be okay, and they'll have to bring a preliminary plat back. And we will make them correct the other cul-de-sac as well on the preliminary.
Yeah, so I think.
Sorry, my fault, I should have
That's
extended it.
okay.
Yeah, so we're really asking that we table this final plat because they have to provide a preliminary plat, for this first,
That's correct.
and the next meeting in July.
That's correct.
And so we'll start the voting on the left. Great question.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you,
No
and
fault, I'm sorry, I should have done that.
thank you. I do want to tell you that, you know, you might hear something, whether I'm not working with them, but it's only fair that if they start changing a lot of right-of-ways and things like that, there's just, and we haven't had a chance to look at it real well. So I need to look at all the easements and things like that, so.
There's many things, an applicant can't bring things in the day of and
Right.
expect things to be changed.
No, and
There's
we,
many people that
I don't
use
wanna
that
do that
plat,
too.
like you said, I mean, it goes back for years for even surveyors to go back and.
Sure.
I mean, it needs to be correct.
Yep. And I appreciate that, and they'll have to appreciate the planning commission working with them on that, so. All right, well, I will notify them. If we can go ahead with what I laid on the table with all of you, to all of them, so. So this is another example of we're trying to inform you and get feedback on larger developments that before they start, and the developers are have grown to appreciate the planning commission and staff. So they don't try and hide anything, they bring it in, we have good discussions on it. We had this discussion this morning. I said, look, do you care if I just show it to them tonight? They said, no, not at all. Matter of fact, they would have been here, but I told them I didn't think there was any need in it. Bless you. So, what it is, to give you some, I guess I can turn it back on here, and I can kind of point at it here. Up, got it, thank you. There we go. Okay, so. I guess that's as far as it goes. To give you an idea, right here is the Prebe Apartments and commercial. Going this way like this here, turns, and this is Quick Trip right here. This is Maple Ridge, thank you. I always want to call it Maple Valley. Maple Ridge. This is the electric substation. This is the railroad tracks. And this is the glass plant property. There's an old farmhouse, a white farmhouse in this area with an old barn and all. So what it's showing is, in this area is multifamily. Going in duplexes up against the single family. And then over in here are townhomes. Down at the bottom, it gives you an idea of 96 duplexes, about 224 townhomes and some of the, townhomes, and then the apartments, there's 402 on a 62 acre. We discussed today, a little more open space. They did put a dog park in the back here that's fairly large, and then this in through here. But what they also discussed is some additional funding for trails and things like that also.
Is this gonna be a
It will be
special use?
no, it won't be a special use. It will be a planned
Conditional-
district.
Yeah, conditional use permit. Or,
Planned district.
yeah, planned district. There you go, that's what I was
Correct, yeah.
'cause-
And the reason is, because they don't want to individually plat the apartments and all, they want to just lay it all out.
What-
And also I told them that, we have to approve all the elevations and that.
Is there parking with these fourplexes or fiveplexes or townhomes?
Yes, that parking, that's what this is here. Parking.
For all of those back above, to the,
Oh, the townhomes?
Yeah.
The townhomes will have, garages also.
okay,
Yeah, they're like a 2-story townhome.
Just like the duplexes.
Right, yes, exactly. So, there's two good things about this in talking to the developer is he realizes that over here is a lot of commercial. And he said, we don't want to put any commercial in, we would like to support commercial there. He said, it'd be very easy for him to take the front half, but it's just, they're finally getting it that you put commercial on one side, commercial on the other side, and before long, there's empty places. We see it all over. All you have to do is drive through Olathe and you'll see one side's new and the other side's a little older and the new's full and the older's got 1 or 2 places in it. So he wants to support the other side. And they build next to each other in Overland Park and all. I looked at some of this today, what they're building. So, but overall, just wanted to get it out to you, take a look at it, jot down some thoughts, send us comments, whatever.
how many acres is across the street and how many apartments are going in?
About 800 across the street.
I was thinking 750, and how many acres was that on?
It's on 70 if I remember correctly.
But that includes the commercial.
That does include the commercial. Yeah. Well, they
It seems to complement what the other.
it does, and I heard today, oh my gosh, we're just gonna be all apartments and all multifamily and all this and all that. Prices, that's what people are gonna be able to afford right now. There's just no way. I mean, these house prices are going through the roof. And even the builders that I've worked with for 30 years that build, supposedly all he ever built that I've known him is affordable housing. And he was telling me today, he said, I don't know if I'm gonna make 330 now. And I mean, he is just tough. That's just the way it is right now. So, in their study, what they showed in looking at all this is there was another 500 and something jobs this year that was gonna come into intermodal, and they had projected, I don't remember all the numbers, they're supposed to get them to me. And, it still wouldn't be enough housing, so.
Remind me, I have a question. When we're done with this, I have a question on that units of
Do
residential.
you know what kind of housing, the single family?
No single family,
No single.
Oh, no.
duplexes on the top up there.
Okay.
So we have duplexes here that would back up to this single family.
Oh, okay.
So this would be all duplexes, and then this would be fourplexes and threeplexes, townhome style.
I think this is a good use for the location. We've been trying to activate Webster, and we have this vision
Right.
of commercial going down there again and revitalizing it. And for that to happen, you need to have density along there, and this starts to provide that density there. And that, if we start pushing for sidewalks and you create that walkability, then you have
Right.
an actual walkable community. So I'm in favor of this approach. I guess since it's so early on, like schematically is just pushing for that trail system. I
Yes.
pulled up the Mark manual and their long range plan for trails, and it literally, their trail system goes around Spring Hill. It goes
I know.
through Edgerton, it goes through Gardner, and
Yes.
then it goes through Stillwell, but it doesn't even touch Spring Hill. So I'd
Right.
really like to push if Jason could show a trail system that starts and ends at one point. I know we're landlocked at the south by the glass factory, but it'd be nice if we just cut out that corridor, that right of way for a trail, and just to show like, hey, we have the space for a regional trail system.
Right,
And I
and
mean, it's like, again, if you pull up the Mark manual, there's nothing in Spring Hill. There's lines all over the place, but
I will blame that on staff that, it's Spring Hill.
Right.
It's been staff's problem. I think maybe I'd brought up Project Greenlight at one time. We're working with them right now because Quick Trip is redoing the signalization lighting on 169 and 199th or Webster, whatever we want to call it right there. So in talking to them and all, and that was something that they brought up, is that Spring Hill doesn't participate in any of the discussions or anything like that with, I mean, they had a whole list of things. One of them was air quality, and that the gentleman with the signalization lights is also part of an air quality or something in that committee. So we will work with them and get us on which it only makes sense because what we're trying to eventually do is also connect onto the Hillsdale area.
yeah.
And
that's a
Mark
big
is
right
looking
there.
at that, and, I do stuff for Wellsville as well, and I know that Johnson County and Mark is working with Wellsville and Ottawa because Ottawa has that railroad trail system you can bike on, and they want to connect that to that Bull Creek. And they're really working on that now. I mean,
Well, I was just gonna say, Spring Hill needs to get some railroad things going on too, so that the bikers and the walkers can get across.
yeah, it's sure, across. I thought you meant riding on the tracks. That would eliminate a lot of them, but, but no, you are correct.
That is not what I said.
Oh, well, see, you gotta specify, cause.
You agree?
No. I'm going back to Hillsdale is a large amenity that
Right.
is not
Yes.
very common within our region. And when you look at the map, you can see Edgerton is capitalizing on that. Gardner is capitalizing on that.
Yes.
They're all going down south to Hillsdale, and then Spring Hill is just like, we don't know where we're going. That's where they put Johnson for Johnson County because there's no trails on the rest of the map.
Right. And I didn't even know that until I started working with this other thing and you get on there, which you're probably on. And so, yes, we are working with that to see if we can get some of that funding and all. Johnson County, in conjunction with Mark, is really pushing to connect everything because, they were saying that, I don't remember. Anyway, there was just like Shawnee Mission Park had record year last year on biking and all, and they're getting concerned and trying to get more people to Heritage, but now Heritage is busy and the streets around and blah, blah, blah. So we'll work on that harder. I think the only other thing that I did have, and I'm just gonna have to email it out to you because I failed to bring the flash drive tonight with me, or that thumb drive, or whatever they're called. I do have the RFP ready for that, so I'll have Amy email it out to you, and then that'll give you guys a chance to, and we'll email this design also, and that way you guys can just look at it on your computer and you can start campfires with that.
And I agree with Josh that this is a good use of the land. It's a great mix of duplexes, quads and apartments versus just apartments. I mean, it's really, I'm glad you brought this to us. I'll put that way.
And we are, right now, last week we met with CIP and with Quick Trip, and then, of course, the commercial over there and the apartments, and now this, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to do a little line resizing down to the south. So this'll work in well in knowing that,
This
you
is
know, we're
good
just,
timing.
right, perfect timing, so. And these developers, the ones that we're working with right now, they don't argue about excise tax, they don't argue about park tax, they just write the check. So it's kind of refreshing, honestly, where you don't have to sit there and explain everything to them 5 times, and so that everybody's getting really good about it.
And then tell Jason we'll ask for a sidewalk along Webster too.
Well, he did talk about going out there. At first, he said out by the tracks and then going down through, but I would rather see it work with the glass plant and come right down Webster.
Yeah.
And I think the glass plant would be willing to do that if we did improvements there, because I don't know if you saw them today, but they had 3 or 4 guys out there weed eating just to make it look nice. So that's quite an expense, and if we could pipe that and get it fixed up, I think they'd be more than happy to do something with it. Any questions? You had a question?
I assume you
Oh.
talked to them about participating in widening Webster?
Well, yes and no. I don't know that, we don't have a plan. Now, we did talk to the city engineer about, we just need some sort of design, you know. And I think everyone will participate down through there. So, yes, they would, I'm sure, but without a true plan
Well,
in
yeah,
our
long
heads.
term, if you could
Right.
make Webster there look more like an
Yeah,
avenue,
I would just,
an avenue with,
yeah, it'd be nice. I'd be happy just to get it fixed, so.
The only thing I was gonna say was, years back, planning commission was always getting updates, not always, but often, every year or 2 years, about how many apartments we had in Spring Hill, how many duplexes we had in Spring Hill, how
Right.
many fourplexes we had, how many were full and how many were empty, and the same with the residential.
Right.
It just helped years back before we exploded, it really helped us drive asking those developers what to bring in. I understand the cost of lumber, I understand the cost of housing right now. But it might behoove us to get some type of an idea on those statistics on housing, just so that
Right.
when people are going, why do we have so much of this? You can say, well, we have all of this, but this percentage is, I mean, we're 98% full.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that said that we would never fill up Blackhawk. I mean, it's just, we're gonna get naysayers. I'm so
Right, I'm
tired of
just saying it
naysay
would be-
world right now.
It might behoove us to have those numbers.
Right, and we will work on something like that. It changes every hour though.
I don't either.
So, it changes every hour.
That's, Josh just says, I don't think you can fill apartments fast enough.
No.
but-
No, but that's, I understand the concept.
And it might, especially with us having comp plan coming up,
Well,
maybe we're heavy on apartments on the south side of town, but we need more on the east side of town.
right,
That might help us drive some of the development
could, very well.
of what we would like and
I
what we would
think,
like to see.
right now, the main factor in driving development sewer.
Absolutely, I'm just saying, when you start
we-
laying out that comp plan and looking at things,
Right, and I would like to see the 223rd area sewer start being utilized. Cause you know, we put all that darn sewer in
right,
on the west side and nothing, so, yeah, no, that, you're right. I just don't have time right now, but Well, matter of fact, Janet McCray, I believe that's what she was talking to us about, is a area-wide study that they could do. So that would help. Any other questions for, okay, I'll do some real quick discussion. That's okay. So Bettis Asphalt's, I don't know if you noticed, they started putting up their silos. So they'll be getting into operation before too long. I talked to them. They're going to, because of the city streets and all, they're gonna help us with some pricing and stuff like that. If we'll, use their mix, and so that would be good. I'm excited about seeing Monarch Concrete go in also, just for us to be able to get materials. We call and they say, yeah, tell us now and you can have it in 4 days. That's concrete.
Fast.
So
Concrete's going in cheaper for us right now than asphalt.
I wouldn't
on our
doubt it.
projects. I mean, because of just the price of oil right now and that they're saying do concrete.
I'm sure of it. And then, the middle school moving dirt, the county approved the, topsoil relocation on that one piece of property that backed up to States Wolf Creek. And the dust has been terrible. It's been raining, there's no dust. But they did do all their silt fencing and everything. We did go by and take a look at that. I think that's about it. I mean, there's a lot of dirt being moved. Roundabouts closed off to do it. They started relocating the driveways today. So hopefully we can get some good weather and they can get in there and get ahead of schedule. They'd like to do that. We've had a lot, just so you know, we have had a ton of complaints on the driveways and yards and all not being repaired yet by all the cable providers that came in. We did hire a new code enforcement officer, and I will start working with him on it. I've been talking to some of them. Amy's been talking to a lot of them. So we're trying to get that under control. But it has been raining and you can't get anybody to work. I mean, they try and hire landscape companies and they just tell them no, they can't do it. So there's a lot of that going on. I mean, excuses are a dime a dozen, but it is the truth, so.
There's always a reason not to do something, so get over it.
Right, and that's what I said.
What's in the super sacks over there?
Yes.
Oh, that's the rubberized mulch for here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I meant to say that they, will get that soon.
What's the timing on the roundabout over there?
Well, in speaking with them today, kind of the way it's laying out, that they thought they could be completed by the 1st of August.
Well, that's soon. That's a month ahead.
Right, a
Figured
month
they'd do it in
ahead.
a couple months.
Yeah,
That's
and
a big
he
deal.
said, that they were moving some dirt up there for the new entrances into the houses, and it was drier than they thought. So hopefully they'll be able to, and it does help just closing everything down. I was out there for a while today, and you wouldn't believe the traffic. And so people pull up there from the east, and this one lady sat there and honked.
Can I drive through the dirt?
It's like, are you kidding me? It's crazy. So,
Did you dig a ditch and say drive on ahead?
yeah. Oh, she did. She sat there and honked. I was like, what's going on? He goes, oh, she wants through. So they're gonna go out there and tear some stuff up in the middle also, and just because people get upset, and I do too. Sometimes you go, why they got all these cones and nobody's doing anything, but yeah, so hopefully it'll go well. One thing that, we did kind of mess up on is, the next road down, is that Renner?
Right.
Yeah, Renner is gravel.
Yeah,
So-
that's where the one subdivision has to go on, right? The
Right,
ridge.
Prairie Ridge, and, engineering just missed it. And the county's out there today, I talked to one of the county guys out there, Mr. Walker, and they're looking at maybe they'll come in there and do something real quick.
You mean
chip and seal or something.
Chip and seal or?
Well, or calcium chloride.
Oh, I see. Make it hard.
And, yeah, well, I told him to be careful because it's hard to buy cars now. So if your car gets ate up by that calcium, you're just gonna have to drive it because you can't buy a new car. They're all gone.
Buy cars, you can buy wood.
Or an old one, yeah. Heck,
Well, you can buy wood, you just gotta pay for it.
Yeah, well, you can't buy.
well, so one of the guys I went by and they're actually using 1/2-inch plywood for everything. And I said, holy moly, I mean, that's gotta be more money. He said, yeah, it's about $10 a sheet more, but I can't get OSB.
Oh, wow.
So he had plywood because he just has to get it sold. Everything's sold. I don't know if you guys have driven around. I took time Monday and actually drove every bit of the city to just check everything. And gee, there's just every lot. I mean, they have a hole there and a sold sign in front. It's like, gee,
I work in the
Christmas.
automotive industry, and Cox Automotive owns Manheim Auctions, which is one of like the largest
right.
auctions. And in February, they have huge lots, and it was full. Like as far as you can see is cars. And 2 months later, it was empty.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And they just.
Well, I went by Lewisburg Ford today because I went over and looked at apartments and all that they're doing in the Overland Park area that is darn near to Lewisburg. And holy gee, man, I thought he told me the wrong place, and sure enough, not. But anyway, I came back 68 and went by Lewisburg, and usually they have vehicles everywhere. Nothing.
I was at Olathe Ford on Tuesday, and the same thing.
Isn't
It's
it?
empty.
It's amazing. So, all right, well, and then on that, the what the planning commission had recommended to council all went through, and, we'll have a CUP for Monarch next meeting, and I'm not exactly sure what else, but there's a few other things.
How does July meeting fall?
Is it the first? Yeah, the first. I don't know, July meeting, yeah, I'll be here in July meeting, but Amy might have to do September meeting, just so you know. She doesn't know that yet, but she just learned. So.
Can't believe it's July.
I know, isn't it amazing? So, and you guys, really, any comments, just send them to us. It's easier to send us an email right now, because we're just
July and
hammered.
August are both questionable.
What?
For me, July and August both will be questionable.
So,
Same for me.
I will not be here in July.
well, maybe we won't, have a July meeting then. Oh, we have to. That's a CUP. Well, we can extend it one time through publication. And really, those guys, Monarch, they're really good about it, and it's,
Postpone it a week.
We can. I mean,
We can change it.
so, yeah,
That's what I'm
so,
saying, is
why don't you guys
everybody's-
just look and
Depends on-
see?
I don't know, depends on what we decide to do. The second week in July may
Yeah,
not
sure,
work
that's
any
fine.
better, so.
That's no problem. But, that, if it was anybody else, I'd be a little nervous, but those guys are really good about it, and so.
I already know I'm gonna be at.
We just have a couple trips that we have to get, and then August is fairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did want to tell you the crossings,
That's the.
the infamous crossings. Does everybody know where that's at? 191st and the
Yeah.
railroad tracks.
They've been doing things out there.
Yeah, so they got their bonding and put in, I don't remember how many lineal foot of street, 800 something. Got all that in, but it's not approved yet from engineering. So they've really been pushing us to get the plans approved for the duplexes. That's R2 zoning there, which I honestly didn't realize. All these years I've been just messing with that thing. It's an RP4 and an R2 zoning, which single family is allowed in R2 as well, but, so I need to, I'll send you, when we send all this, I'll send you the, elevations on that, but you talk about simple duplexes and little single car garages, and so we'll see if it even gets started. So we did core those foundations. It's been sitting out there for years. Engineering firm came out, and I went out there with them, and we cored those, and I haven't got the results back yet. But believe it or not, the ones they snapped on site, their comprehensive was 5,800, so it was still good, and it drilled hard. So, but it's just, tell you. So if you see action going out there, but I'll shoot you what they're
Is it
planning on doing.
191st for the railroad?
Crossings on the south side.
Yeah.
And then we have Wiswell's.
Because we gotta take a detour.
What about?
Yeah, and Wiswell's is gonna sell, hopefully, it will close here shortly.
Nice.
So yes, we've been working with that developer, good 2 months probably.
Nice. I'm glad that's gonna go.
Yes, and that's kind of and I say working with them, we're planning a park through there and all, so I think that'll be really, really nice for the city. I'm not talking about just a little one, talking about probably another 20 acres of park, because there's a lot of floodplain there, and I think it'll be nice, so.
I'm glad that's getting cleaned up.
Yeah, well, and we really need to start using Tree Lift Station. I wanted to tie Quick Trip in it so bad, but elevation was wrong, so couldn't get under the creek. All right, anything else? Thanks for everybody coming.
Adjourn?
Everybody should be smiling today that the sun's shining.
We have just announcements from commissioners and staff, if any.
Only thing we had is everything passed and we're good.
Okay. And so I think we're just ready, and if there's nothing from,
Move to adjourn.
so we're just.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion has been seconded to adjourn, start the voting on the left.
Aye.
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 Hi.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You might,